There's a way to speak on YouTube that will build trust much faster and connect with your audience on a deeper level and bring in consistent sales into your business. Once I changed to this speaking style in my videos, I went from booking no sales calls to booking weekly sales calls with my ideal customers. This is the same style of speaking that the top creators are doing on YouTube and generating 5 and 6 figures a month through their channels. So in this video, I want to break down exactly what this style of speaking is and the 5 steps you can take today to speak this way as well. I recently saw a YouTube video where it shared the CEO of YouTube's advice for growing on YouTube, and it was actually quite surprising what he said. He didn't talk about production quality, consistency, or even making great content. He says it's all about speaking authentically. So being authentic in your videos is a key to building an audience and growing your channel. And here's why this matters for your business. So we're social animals and we're very good at telling when someone is not being authentic or not being themselves. And we see this all the time when people start a YouTube channel, especially business owners with the goal of using YouTube to attract customers into their business. They think they need to present themselves in a certain way, speak very polished and corporate and maybe super serious. But the biggest mistake I'm seeing more and more on YouTube is people are using AI to write their scripts for them, and then they're just putting it on a teleprompter and regurgitating the information. And this is a huge problem if you want to build trust with your customers and actually make sales through YouTube. Imagine you went to the doctors because you had some serious problem you were really worried about. When you ask him what he thinks it could be, he just types it into ChatGPT and then reads the answer off the screen word for word. Pretty quickly you would lose trust in that doctor because he's not speaking from his years of medical training or personal experiences. He's just looking it up online, and that's basically what anybody can do. It doesn't make them an expert. Well, this is exactly the same case on YouTube. Your viewers can tell pretty quickly if you're not being authentic in your videos, especially if you're using AI to write your scripts. And to be completely transparent, I'm guilty of using AI to write my scripts as well. When I first started on YouTube, to try and get my videos out quickly and to be as efficient as possible, I would write out a rough draft of what I wanted to say, just using bullet points, and then I would use ChatGPT to flesh the script out for me. And then I would use a teleprompter just to read through the script. I did this for quite a few videos, and when I watched the videos back, I just felt very disconnected from them. You know, there was no personality. It's not how I naturally speak. It just didn't feel like me. I was an empty vessel just regurgitating information that I'd got off of ChatGPT. And the viewers can see this as well, because the only reason that anybody will ever buy from you is because they trust you. And it's very, very hard to build that trust when you're not being authentic and you're just relaying generic information. People want to work with the real you and not some corporate robot. Now, I just want to make a note that there's a time and place to copy on YouTube. And this is when it comes to the packaging. You should absolutely study other successful YouTube channels and look for outlier videos that are performing well, because there's a reason that people are clicking those videos. So you do want to do your research into the packaging and copy what's working on YouTube. But once somebody then clicks onto the video and they're through the doors and they're watching your videos, this is when you need to be authentic and be the real you. So here are my 5 tips to speak authentically in your videos, connect with your audience, and get sales through your YouTube channel. Tip 1, use AI for research, not your voice. AI is an incredible tool, but as I said at the start of the video, it shouldn't be used to script your video word for word. But you can use it to help structure your videos, do any research you need, and help organize your ideas into a nice flowing video. For example, when I'm scripting my videos, I'll first jot down my hook, my introduction, and then the body of the content, and then usually the lessons that I want to include, and then the call to action. And I'll just throw all my ideas down onto the paper. And then I'll put that into Claude or ChatGPT, and it will organize it into a nice order that flows and makes sense. I can glance at it to make sure I'm not missing any key points, but it really is just bullet points. It's not written word for word. And this allows you to speak in your natural voice and use the language that you would use, and it just makes the whole video much more conversational when it's not written word for word and it's just bullet points to keep you on track. I saw an interview with Robert Greene recently, and he talks about how all of humans share 99% of DNA, but there's 1% which there's subtle differences in our DNA, and this is what makes us unique. It's important to lean into these differences. What is it that makes you unique? And let that shine through in your videos, because this is something that can't be copied, that can't be replicated. That 1% which is unique to you is your competitive advantage. So have it outline your key points and then make sure that you stay on track. It's also very good at researching and finding case studies. Just make sure you fact check it, because sometimes it's just pulled random studies out of thin air that didn't actually happen. So use it for research, but don't use AI to replace your voice. Tip 2, imagine you're talking to a friend over coffee. So I got this tip from one of Dea's YouTube videos, and she talks about how in her videos she imagines that she's just speaking to her friend who's sat across the table from her. And this helps keep the tone much more conversational and natural. So think about who it is that you're speaking to. And of course, as we're creating niche content for our ideal customers, you should be talking to your ideal customer, but they should also be your friend. So think about if you have a customer that you work with, that you love working with and you're really friendly with, you could be speaking to them, or just create an avatar in your head. It's your friend who needs exactly what you sell. Now, business owners are really bad for this. The moment the camera's turned on, they'll complicate something and over-explain it, or add lots of jargon and just make it more complicated than it needs to be. So imagine you're just sat there telling somebody the way you would over a coffee, and keep it simple and conversational. Tip 3, speak from bullet points. So I'll just say to begin with, I'm not completely against writing your script out word for word. There are channels that do that and they look great, you can't really tell, and they're really successful. Again, the biggest mistake people do is they'll write out their script and then they'll pop it on the teleprompter and they'll read it out, but it's not how they would naturally speak. It doesn't match the cadence of their voice and it comes across as being really stiff. So if you are going to write your script word for word, make sure you practice it a good few times and then change it so that it sounds natural. But I definitely recommend learning to speak from detailed bullet points. And this is what the best speakers and presenters will do. If you can learn to speak from bullet points, then every video you're developing that skill and you're getting better and better at doing it. The first time I did a video just using bullet points, it was so tough because all my videos leading up until then I'd been using a teleprompter, and that's the only way I could do it. But I'm starting to find it much easier and I'm getting better at doing it. And when I watch back the videos, I can definitely see some improvements. So the sooner you start just speaking from bullet points, the quicker you'll get better at it. If you think of a better example or a story on the spot, then you can just go straight into that. You're not tied to whatever's on the screen. And then the most important thing before you start filming is to actually practice reading it out 2 or 3 times. Tip 4, embrace imperfections. There was a study done in the 60s where an actor answered questions in front of a group of participants. For the first group, he spilled coffee on himself when he was answering the questions, and for the second group, he didn't. All the people who witnessed him spill coffee on himself at the end of the study reported him as being much more likable. And this is called the pratfall effect. Flaws make you seem more approachable, make you more human. In your videos, if there's mistakes or flaws, it shows that you're a real person, you're not a corporate spokesperson. So if something's not perfect, you don't need to re-record every line. It's okay to leave in any genuine reactions or any off-script moments. So aside from the actual delivery of your videos, it's also important to talk about your own flaws or mistakes that you've made, because this will also make you seem more approachable. We're all human and we all make mistakes, so you don't need to be this super polished person on camera. It's okay to show your flaws. Tip 5, share your opinions and experiences. Most business channels fail because they just repeat the same generic advice that everybody's talking about. Anybody can Google generic business advice, but what really matters is your personal experiences and the things that you've lived through. This is what makes your opinion unique, because this is stuff that you've gone through and you've learned from, and now you can share those experiences with your audience. So what experiences have you had that people might disagree with, and what mistakes have you made that other people can learn from? We don't want to sound like every other expert or guru out there. So the way you stand out in your videos is having your own ideas and sometimes controversial opinions. There's a really good chapter in the book ClickFunnels where Russell Brunson talks about picking a side and then throwing rocks at your opponent. This is how you actually stand out. If you're safe and you don't disagree with anybody, then you're not really going to get heard. It is okay to pick a side and stick with it. So stop trying to sound like every other expert out there and talk about what only you can talk about through your own personal experiences. So now you know how to let your authenticity shine through in your videos, make sure you check out this video here. YouTube is an incredibly effective way on its own to bring sales into your business, but when you combine it with email, it takes it to a whole new level. So check out this video here to learn exactly how to do that.